All right. Your mic's working?
Test.
That's
Yes.
half the battle.
Yes.
What G.I. Joe says.
Good to go.
All right. This is an AI conference, so I brought my digital copy here. Folks, my name is Joe Mayberry. Welcome. I'm the head of AI at SailPoint, and we've got a wonderful panel for you today. We'll have them introduce themselves in just a moment. What I wanted to do is just level set, right? We all know that AI is fundamentally reshaping how we as organizations operate and how teams operate. This panel of experts is here to help us make a transition, and we'll talk about that really quick. So if you'll humor me for a minute, and this is kind of a silly analogy, but it actually works for what's happening to us right now across the globe with AI. If you think about time chronologically, from the beginning of time till about 1974, 1975, we were in what I like to call the physical economy, the exchange of goods and services, right? We didn't have the digital era, we didn't have software yet. And the global GDP topped out at about $5 trillion, okay? 1974, 1975, give or take. And then we had what I like to call the digital economy, right? The information age. And we saw massive value explosion during that time. And I think that time has ended. I think the digital economy is over. I think it died somewhere around 2022, right? With the broad availability of generative AI and other underlying AI technologies that have been in the works for years, but really came out and ready to go. And at the end of that era, we had a GDP roughly around $117 trillion, right? From 5 to 117 trillion. And during the technological transformation that happened in the 70s, everyone thought it was going to happen, some people thought it was going to happen pretty fast, and it didn't. It took a very long time. And there were multiple iterations in that technology transition. And then we have now this new transition, and we're definitively going through it. Everybody knows it. It's not a question anymore, but it's a question of how much and how long. And I think it's going to be quite a while that we're going to be going through this transition. And hopefully we see the same exponential growth in value as we did from 5 to 117 trillion over the next 50 or so years, okay? So how do we manage the transition? And the reason I wanted to level set on transitions is because that's really what we're doing right now. The technology is so nascent, no one knows how to properly apply it. If they do, they're probably lying or selling something. And so what we want to be doing is taking best practices from across the industry. And we have some experts here who are going to help us as we ask some key questions about how they are helping their organizations and clients make that transition from the digital economy to the agentic economy. Would you like to introduce yourselves? And then I'll start some questions up.
Sure thing. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nadia Hansen. I lead go-to-market strategy at Salesforce. I cover all of US, Canada, some parts of Europe. Prior to that, believe it or not, this is my home, so welcome to Vegas. I've been here for 30 years. I used to be the CIO for Clark County, which is basically Las Vegas where you all are sitting. So I have crazy stories to share. I need to be drunk for those, but I have tons of Vegas crazy stories. Glad to have you all.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Aisha Taharfeli. I'm a principal and trusted AI leader at KPMG. And in my role, I am responsible for ensuring the responsible and ethical design, development, and use of AI.
Great, welcome, welcome, thank you. So first question, we're gonna go to Nadia here. From a public sector go-to-market at Salesforce, are you seeing a shift in how government organizations structure their AI teams?
So I used to be a public servant for 15 years before joining Salesforce. And believe it or not, the number one conversation that we're having about AI is fear of job loss. So once we get through that hump, which is really about let's redefine what AI is going to create, which is going to be brand new jobs that never existed, I think a lot of the conversations are around how can we move away from AI pilot land to actually production? And a lot of things have to come back to, let's talk about outcomes, not shiny new tools. Because yes, the models are great, but your data isn't. So your data is the base foundation for everything that you're going to do. How do we make sure that we integrate? When I used to be the CIO for the county, we had 400 plus systems. The same persona, Jeremy Smith is coming in, maybe he wants to get a license, maybe he wants to get a permit, maybe he wants to, I don't know, report about a dog barking in his backyard. Is the same persona that's coming in, how do we capture that person? And we provide that chat GPT, that Claude-like experience. I used to say Amazon Uber experience, but that's so 2025. Now we're in 2026, so how do we provide that relevancy back? A lot of conversations are really around that right now. So when we talk about implementations, when we talk about governance strategy, it really comes down to, do you have data governance that's set up that doesn't point to IT? It really bringing in all different stakeholders. It includes your legal, it includes your procurement, it's HR, it's your security, it is your business stakeholders that come into play as part of governance. When it comes to implementation, the one thing I'll say is everybody is so focused on what AI can do for me. I think it's kind of reversing back. And what are the KPIs that you're trying to solve? And list those KPIs and benchmark them. Because AI cannot solve every single problem. It's not a good solution for everything. It's really what is the exact use case that you're going to be able to benchmark and say, you know what, this used to take me 30 days. Now I can do it in 3. And I think that is where we see the adoption happen.
I love that. And just a quick follow-up specifically to drill down, you mentioned you were the CIO of Clark County. What are the biggest culture gaps we see between how government and enterprise approach AI workforce change?
You know, what can I tell you? So my daughter is 18 years old, and she actually is trying to apply to government. Every time she pulls up a job description, it says IT systems analyst 2, IT management analyst 2. She's like, I have no idea what that means, Mom, because I think the wording is still around COBOL, maybe Java, maybe some old language that all these Gen Zers have no idea what to do with. Step 1, if you're going to be creating and enabling your workforce, maybe start with job descriptions. That's number 1. Number 2 is do a lot of AI enablements. I think one of the best things that we do at Salesforce is we host what we call AI days. AI days are very much educational, non-pitchy days where you come and learn about the landscape, what's happening in terms of best practices when it comes to just other corporations, who's succeeded, what are the best practices, what are the lessons learned. And it really helps because you don't have to start from scratch. I mean, I know we all think we're unique. Nobody else is doing what we're doing. I think that's the baseline of every conversation. But guess what? Everybody's tried something different. So enable your people, because at the end of the day, it comes down to people, it'll come down to your process that you're re-engineering, and it'll come down to your data. The technology can do what you want it to do. But if you don't have the foundation in place to be able to augment it and do well with it, you're not going to be able to be successful.
I love that. Did you have
I
something to
know
add?
I was going to say the same. It's a people transformation, not a technology transformation. So I really like that too, Nadia.
Great, thank you. So Aisha, this one's for you. What is KPMG seeing across its client base as the biggest blockers to workforce readiness for AI adoption?
Yeah, so similar to what Nadia said, we faced some of the same challenges in our own AI transformation at KPMG, and we've also done several studies on this exact issue. One of the studies that we do is a quarterly pulse survey, and we've had this survey now for 3 years. It asks C-suite executives their perspectives on how much they're investing in AI, how are they adopting AI, and what are the challenges they're seeing. In the most recent quarterly pulse survey in Q2, we found that 1 out of 5 C-suite executives said that agentic adoption, they're facing meaningful resistance when it comes to the workforce. And the top 3 reasons why were trust and ethics concerns and skills. So going back to Nadia, what you were saying. Similarly, last year we did one of our largest trust in AI studies. It was globally, over 47 countries, over 40,000 people participated. And just the US cut found that while 70% of respondents were really excited to use AI, excited about its prospects, excited about adopting it, only 41% were willing to trust AI. So when you have high excitement, high adoption coupled with low trust, you really get ineffective use of AI. And so how that translated itself was that over 45% of those same respondents admitted to not using a human in the loop review for the AI content they were using. Another 40% admitted to putting company sensitive information in external tools, and then also bringing their own AI to work, so which just increases safety and security issues. So from KPMG's perspective, we faced some of those similar challenges, but how we addressed it was getting leading AI technology into the hands of our professionals that was already approved, aligned with our trusted AI framework, but then coupling that with responsible use guidelines so they know how to use it. adding to that technical guardrails. So things like we hard blocked access to external tools once we provided them ourselves. We also hard blocked ability to upload sensitive content outside of the firm. And then finally, Nadia, your point is we have AI curriculum across the board for all 275,000 global employees that's persona based. But of that curriculum, what's mandatory for, and it has been mandatory for 3 years, is trusted AI curriculum. So how to use it responsibly.
I love that. You followed that mantra of fix the data,
Yes.
fix the infrastructure, govern and secure, then deploy and enable
Yes.
in that order.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to go super deep all at once.
No.
What I heard you say is you selected what you were going to do first.
That's right.
And then you went as deep as necessary to deploy as quickly as possible and securely.
Yeah.
And then you enabled your people to use that tool, and now you're going deeper and deeper. I love that. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when we hear, oh, you have to have your data fixed. Yeah, right. Who has their data fixed? Nobody. Nobody. Who has a homogenized data set as a large MNC? Nobody.
Yeah, it's progress over perfection.
Yes, exactly. I love that. And you show how it's possible. So that's great. I love that you have done.
Yeah, quick point on the persona-based enablement. So one thing I've noticed is people want the answer to what's in it for me. At the end of the day, if you are training people, what you're going to be training your marketing people is very different than what sales is going to care about, which is very different than what product is going to care about, which is very different than what engineering is going to care about. And I feel like addressing those persona-based enablements allows for people to be open to adoption, which helps build some of the trust and security conversations that we're going to be continuing on with.
It also meets them where they are in their journey, right? So it's persona based, but also are you a beginner? Are you more intermediate? Are you a developer? And then meeting them where they are. So they really find that training.
And that's that people change,
That's right.
right? What creates value at work? Are you doing something that actually creates value, or can that task be offloaded to an agent and you can take your time and effort and deploy it in the highest and best use of your particular role and intellect? I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got another follow-up question. We mentioned a little bit about security. So how is KPMG advising clients to think about agentic security specifically? It seems like this black box. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the most recent OpenAI and Hugging Face incident kind of brought everything that we've been talking about from a theoretical perspective into real time, and Anthropic just had a similar incident this week. So agentic AI really ups the game in terms of, agents are able to do things autonomously. They inherit the permissions of their users. And so whatever permissions your users have, they're able to do it. They're able to make recommendations, make decisions, and they also have an increased blast radius of what they're able to do in the firm. So a lot of times these tools sit on endpoints, and so the threat vector also increases. From a KPMG perspective, we have a lot of the leading AI tools that we're using in our firm, but we've taken a really measured approach to that adoption. So really containing that blast radius from the beginning, starting with pilots and really monitoring the users that are using these. And in terms of agents going back to zero trust principles. So agents should have identities. We should have the ability to limit and contain the data that they have access to, the actions that they were able to do, and then also having observability. So the ability to track who did what, when, and with what data. And a lot of the tools in this space as it relates to agents are still nascent, and so sometimes it requires building your own or adding to your portfolio, so buying and customizing. So having more of that observability. And then from a prompt injection standpoint, there's this threat of, agents being able to access the web, they're able to access different folders, and this risk of prompt injections kind of inadvertently causing disastrous outcomes. And so having a tool that can in real time look through what's coming in and defend in real time. So that, I think that last point of like real time defense is really important from that Hugging Face incident too.
Absolutely. If we're going to treat them as hybrid workers, right? We are now in this agentic era. We now have humans and agents working together. Right now, the technology is very limited, so they're acting more like assistants as an extension of us as opposed to independent value creation entities.
Yeah.
But they are non-deterministic by nature, so they want to be independent, and we need to treat them as such. And so I see the three things are exactly what you described, right? Discover, what agents do I have? What agents are operating amongst my human full-time employees? How often they're being created, kind of this agentic control tower. So an identification of what's there. So discover. Then govern them appropriately based off of your trust policies and whatever other policies you have at your organization, right? And then protect. Once they're deployed, how do we maintain protection across? And so I like how you categorize that all the way across deployment. It was nice. All right. I think we are ready for a couple questions. It'll be to both of you, and we'll start, Nadia, with you and then move over. If you had to pick one skill for every employee that they need to develop in the next 12 months to stay relevant, what would it be?
It's funny, but when you were reading that question to me, I have never seen more one person, solopreneur businesses, making over $1 million a year. Okay, that's a fact. You can go and take a look at it. There's more people who have started small businesses. In fact, a lot of people who are working for big tech firms have been leaving because they're like, we're finally at an age where I can actually outsource a lot of this and bootstrap it because I can have agents running. So the number one skill I would say is this is a hands-on keyboard exercise. It's great that you put it on a piece of paper and you run it down and say, this is our strategy, here's what we're gonna follow, this is what it looks like on a piece of paper. It does not matter. I think your employees, your people, they want to see you. How has it impacted you in your day-to-day life? So this is a very hands-on keyboard exercise. Build an app, share that with people, build a workflow, share that with your groups, with your teammates. I think this is the most important skill that you will need so you at some point do not get replaced. Personally, I have like, 11 agents running right now. I do that on the personal side of the house. I have everything all the way from prospecting, competitive intel, go-to-market strategy. Oh, you know what? I even have an email responder, so if you reach out to me, my agent reaches out back to you and it sounds just like me, okay? So this is the kind of things that we need to be leaning in on rather than being afraid of it.
I love that. Dive in.
Dive in.
Awesome.
Yeah, and to add to that, using AI, but also I think probably one of the most important skills is using it in a way that enhances your collaboration. So Rasan mentioned this earlier. KPMG just recently did a study with UT, and it had, we used 500 early career professionals that were using AI on a recurring basis. And the finding was the top cohort that used AI most effectively versus the bottom cohort, the key difference wasn't their technical capabilities or AI literacy. It was the fact that they were using AI as a thought partner versus just delegating tasks and leaving it alone. So thinking through, how do you frame the problem when you're working with AI? How do you use the business context and go back and forth and riff with the AI? How are you applying your human judgment in an active way? Similar to as you're working with colleagues, you're actively listening and taking that feedback and applying it in, and then redirecting the AI or agent as needed. And we're now taking those same principles. We just had an audit internship over the summer, and we're redesigning an AI immersion experience that's more hands-on keyboard, like scavenger hunts and different activities where we're reinforcing critical thinking, adaptability, and judgment as they're working through their tasks.
You reminded me of something when you talked about generations. So it's funny because in government you have 5 different generations we're serving, right? We have baby boomers, millennials, Gen X's, Gen Z's. And I teach at 2 different universities as well, University of Nevada, Las Vegas being one. It is unreal the amount of non-AI people that are students that are going to universities who are just like anti-AI. They refuse to use it other than just maybe doing it for homework, but they would not use it for any kind of productivity claims. On the opposite side, I had an 80-year-old taking my class, and the 80-year-old is putting all of his health data in there, and he's like, "Hey, this is my therapist, it's my medical assistant." So you have these super wide paradigms of people who are completely anti
Yes.
or who are leaning in and using it, but age is not a barrier anymore.
Yes.
Right? So I think kind of meeting where people are at is
Yes.
very, very important. It's part of this enablement
Yeah.
journey.
I love that. Where they're at, meeting where they're at. I personally, I like it from a judgment standpoint. I've actually built my own council of 12. So I have 12 personas trained off of 12 different types of people that I think are amazing. Economists, theologians, business leaders, both in large business and entrepreneurs, investors, and I have a specific persona that represents each one of those. And I'll go to my council and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Give me an answer. And it summarizes and gives me a bluff, a bottom line up front at the top, but then I can go in and see each one's opinion. And it's trained off of the works of, this particular theologian or that particular economist, which I really enjoy because it's all structured data that can go in. So I find that very valuable. And then from a skill set standpoint, one of the things I would like to add, and this is not only for large companies, but for smaller companies looking to sell to large companies, if you are at a large company and you are a leader in operations or anything that's touching AI and the new capabilities that are required within an enterprise, AI operations, efficiencies, ROI, anything like that, train yourself. Find someone intelligent to sit next to or read or work with your AI to determine what the technology is actually capable of doing today versus what it's not capable of doing today, and then go try it for yourself. Because we see so many wrong directions invested in with regards to believing that a particular technology can do something today that it cannot. Maybe it'll be 6 months or a year from now, but today it cannot do that. And unfortunately, this has caused a lot of wasted human and fiscal capital in the AI transition that we've had. So I would say my advice to everybody, the one skill is go figure out what it is capable of doing today versus what it's not, so you can be wiser yourself on the decision making for the investment, both fiscal and human capital, that you're going to make in this transition.
What's also been interesting when I was thinking about colleges is what's been exciting for me is seeing how the humanities has increased, like the interest and the need for more of a diverse portfolio of skills in the workplace, because it's no longer just the engineers and the technical expertise, but just equally important is the philosophy, ethics, communications, critical thinking, and bringing all that to bear to work with AI. So that's been exciting.
It is. I love that. All right, so we've done the skill. We're going to do this. This one's a little bit different. So instead of talking to operators in a business, what I want you guys to do is be the operators you are now and advise upward to the boards, okay? So if you were speaking, let's not say to your board, but to boards, as operators, what is one piece of advice you would give board leadership in this era? As an operator, what should the board be thinking about? What should they be doing to enable this AI transition from the digital economy to the agentic economy?
I can go first. It's funny, a lot of board members take some of my classes and their focus is very big on trust and security. Because they're like, you know what, we don't know if this is gonna hallucinate, is our company gonna get in trouble? Is my CEO really thinking of the right things? Does he have the right team members enabled to be able to take this strategy to the next level, which will help our revenues, our shareholders and all that. So a lot of conversations are around trust and security. But one latest theme that I've seen come up is around token budgeting. Token budgeting has never been on top of mind, and now people are like, well, how do I start budgeting my capital budget towards tokens, and what would that look like in the future? How do I allot? How do I know what is going to be spent in the next year so we can monitor that from a financial sense? So anyway, those are the kinds of conversations that have been coming up.
Yeah, and I agree. I've seen what's been promising is over the past few years, now AI is a recurring topic on all boards. So that's been promising, and then increasingly data and security are now coupled in those agenda topics. But I think what I would like to see boards do more is we're spending a lot of time on the trust, security, governance, compliance controls. Can we trust the AI? But spend equal amount of time on are we moving fast enough to get the value and really realize the opportunity that's in our hands? And how can we move faster in a responsible way? So at KPMG, we call it being bold, fast, and responsible, but really balancing that. And I don't know that I see the value, the opportunity conversations at the board level as much as I would like.
Yeah, I like that. And we had this conversation earlier, but I always say the value of AI, and this is not mine. I cannot remember where I heard it. So if somebody said this out here, come up and let me know first. But the true value of AI is both the efficiency side, which captures the ROI and the risk. Then there's the opportunity portion of AI, which is what am I missing out on not doing it? Right? And that is the true full value of AI. And so much has been focused on the risk and the ROI and the opportunity and the efficiency side, which is wonderful. And that is true. But what new markets are there? I always ask, when I'm recommending what a board should be looking at, I say you need to have a full picture of your AI status of your company. And that does not mean that you get a risk analysis from legal and security. God help you if that's the only side of the equation that you're looking at. It needs to capture the opportunity value of investing in new products and services in conjunction with the risk and the both legal and security risk.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not seeing the full picture.
That's right.
And you're biasing yourself because you have a incorrect presupposition for what creates value in this new technological
Be
era.
more risk
Yeah,
averse.
mhm. And so that has been happening. I think a lot of boards see that and have been changing the way they request reporting from their senior leadership.
I think it's also perception versus reality. I have a funny example. So, at the county board, one of the biggest mandates was we need to make our website easy. What's the number one thing you guys think that people come to Las Vegas for? Just shout it out. Gambling. Okay, what else?
Shows.
Louder? Conventions. Okay, maybe marriages could be another one you think that maybe people come to Vegas for. That was the number one thing that the board had the perception for, that the three things that you guys just mentioned is what people come to Vegas for the 90, and that's what they use the website for when they come to a city or county website, right? Guess what? We went ahead, we implemented it because that was the board's direction. Turns out when you do a little bit of predictive analysis and take a look at what are people really coming to Vegas for, and for the most part, why do they want to access city and county services? It was the jail site. It was people come to Vegas and they go missing. And so the number one search mechanism was finding missing people on the jail website.
Wow.
I give this crazy example because coming back to perception versus reality, a lot of boards certainly think that this is one way because this is probably what the residents want, what the visitors want, but it may not be the right thing unless you dig into your data and start doing some of the analysis. So anyway, that would be my parting thought for all of you, is if you are board members, think about it, yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else from your end? Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. We've been excited to be here and chat with you. Nadia, Aisha, thank you so much.
Thank you.